In the DR, they have a great fried chicken called chicharrones de pollo. And they are big pieces of chicken, hence the name chicharrones, they sound big. And the thing that makes them different is that they're boneless and they're marinated in lemon. You have to realize we've only had refrigeration for about 80 years, and that's why there's so much spicy food near the equator, because spice actually kills bacteria. And you notice the further away you get from the equator, the less flavor of food there is, and that's because there was no reason to, because the food lasted longer in places where the temperature wasn't so hot. Anyway, the Dominican Republic, they don't like spicy food in the Dominican Republic, and they use acid instead. So this is why they put their chicken in lemon, because imagine a hot day where there's no refrigeration, you know, that gets nasty real quick. Lots of lemon, like tons of it. You're gonna marinate the chicken in the lemon, and this gives you really what I think is just one of the greatest versions of fried chicken, because it makes something that can be so heavy so light. Very important, it's really part of the culture, is adobo seasoning. It's garlic and salt and thyme and oregano. For some reason, if you do that at home, it just doesn't taste the same. You gotta buy the brand. And a tiny little bit of Dominican oregano on top of that, which you can emulate with thyme and oregano. Some people put granulated garlic in there. I'm not a fan of it. I love the adobo though. It's so good. It's like Dominican Old Bay. Now you can let this sit for 15 minutes or so while we get the oil to 360 degrees. I'm using grapeseed. A plantain is probably the most difficult thing ever to peel. I don't even know where the skin begins and the flesh ends. So I've resorted to this. So the plantains that the Dominicans eat with the chicken are fried mashed plantains. And the easiest way to do that is to quick fry the plantains and then mash them and then refry them. So here I'm using grapeseed oil because it has a really, really high smoke point. You can use peanut oil, you can use vegetable oil, you can use anything that isn't olive oil, basically. Plantains are going in, ready? That was a minute of fried plantains. I'm gonna pull these guys out and put them onto a paper towel. Let's see if this works. Not bad. So let's mash them. Oh yeah, these are so good. And guess what goes on top? Adobo, you guessed it. Now you just lightly coat the chicken in a little bit of flour. You just go boom, boom. So now you can drop these in pairs. All right, so the chicharrones come out when they look like they're cooked. You just want to keep monitoring that fry oil and do them in small batches so that you don't overcrowd and cool the oil, because that's when they get super greasy and gross. I've already done a couple batches, and honestly I've been eating it because the lemon and oregano is, it's just so good. It's so good. So over here we have our plantains that I marinated in the remainder of the chicken's lemon juice. And I'm just gonna give these a quick powder. I've been laying the plantains and the chicken on bread, and that is absorbing the excess fry oil. Much better than paper towel would. So here we are, we're all done. Oh, those look so good. And they, oh man, I've been eating so many of them. Here we have chicharrones de pollo and fried plantains, all of which are delicious. at that. Oh, it's so good, it's worth the pain. Oh, and you can eat these with ketchup. Tell me about growing up in Santo Domingo.
Well, I come from a musical family. I just started playing when I was 4.5 because the music in the family was endless. Every time we got together, it was like a big musical party, and everybody just took a moment and played the piano or the guitar or the accordion. Somebody sang, somebody played the percussion. So it was just like that, a big party. What happened is at 16, my parents wanted me to become a doctor. And it was a big dichotomy. So I did go along with them, and I went to the university. But at the same time, I was studying music. So I went to my composition teacher, and I said, "What do you think, maestro? Should I quit music?" And he said, "No, you have a big future ahead of you. So you know what? I'm going to name you in the symphony orchestra, National Symphony." So there I was, the youngest member of the National Symphony at 16. And then all of a sudden, there was a festival at the National Theater for an inauguration festival. And they brought American musicians to reinforce the orchestra. And in the middle of a break, I sat at the piano and started playing jazz. And all of a sudden, I had all the Americans around me, and they said, "How do you play this?" I said, "Well, I love jazz, right?" I said, "Sounds good." It said, "Well, you should be in New York." That's the planted seed right there. So I quit medicine, and then it took me a couple of years, but in 1979, me and Sandra, my wife, we decided to give it a try. So we came at the end of 1979, and that was it. We set ourselves a goal, 5 years. If nothing happened, we would go back. On that 50 years, when Manhattan Transfer recorded my song "Why Not," which I wrote in the pit on Broadway, and they won a Grammy Award with it. So that was it. That was like the stamp of approval. And everything, the rest is history. One thing took to another. And I started forming my own bands and playing with different bands in New York. And the dream came true. I became a full-fledged jazz musician in New York. New York has a certain angle that it doesn't happen, I think doesn't happen everywhere else, which is that, we have every community from the whole world here represented. And the reason why it's represented is because each one of these communities keeps their roots. And somehow they don't melt into the giant Big Apple. So that's why you have a Dominican parade, you have a Puerto Rican parade, an Italian parade, a German parade. It's important. Even though everybody considers themselves New Yorkers, they still keep the link to the roots. And I think that's the secret right there. Part of eating the food is that as well.
Describe a very Dominican tradition.
The Christmas dinner is sacred. But we do it on the 24th, the evening of the 24th. And it's when the family gathers. So it's a big feast, with roasted pork. In Santo Domingo they do the full pork, the whole thing. They call it asado en puya, which is with a stick and over coals. And basically the seasoning would be the orange leaves. They sprinkle it with the orange leaves and the seasoning on top throughout the whole day. So it's a very, very slow roast. The accompaniment to the pork usually is either the rice and beans on one side, but mainly the moro. Moros y cristianos is a dish that we imported actually from Cuba, and it's the rice and beans mixed and cooked together. And that's very typical, with seasonings inside.
Is that Tia Sandra's arroz con habichuelas?
It's a cousin of it. But this is this is all together, and it's kind of like dried, it's not wet. And the pastelitos and the quipes. Pastelito is like a dough full of meat, chicken meat or cheese inside. And it's for Christmas time. It's a tradition too. And the quipes, which is actually, we inherited it from the Lebanese that came to the Caribbean.
What does this shirt mean to you?
This shirt brought me good luck. This is a shirt that won me a Grammy Award. With the Live at the Blue Note, believe it or not. When we recorded my double live album at the Blue Note, it always brings me good luck. I don't know. It's something about the people. People love this shirt. So I wear it on special occasions. This is one of them. So,
Tell me your favorite thing about New York.
the land of opportunity. You know, here your dreams come true somehow. You know, they all come true. I can't wait to wake up every day and see what else is gonna happen that is new in my life. And that's always keeps me fresh.
Beautiful.
Thanks. Pleasure. Man.
You're great.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. First thing she does is take 2.5 cups of water and bring it to a boil, and to that she adds 2 tablespoons of olive oil, an entire bag of Vigo yellow saffron rice. Then she stirs it up. We put the top back on and let it simmer gently for about 20-25 minutes. Now, while we heat up our pan nice and low, we go for half of a small onion, or some spring onion, or some scallion. Just a little bit of olive oil in the pan. We're gonna prepare 2 cloves of garlic as well, or just 1, if it's a big one, like I have. All right, we're gonna finely mince. Well, it's not so much of a mince as it is a very thin slice of 2 cloves of garlic, or in my case, 1 big one. Let's saute our onion. Already smells good. Of course it does. That absorbed the oil pretty quickly, so let's put a little more. All right, after just 2 minutes of sweating the onions, we can add in that garlic. So this is the everyday national dish, with Tia Sandra's own personal touch, of course. Now, normally I'm a big fan of tomato paste in a tube, but in this case, the recipe calls for an entire half cup, which is a small container. So. We need a little bit of green bell pepper while that is sauteing. She just uses half. Half a green bell pepper. Okay? All right, step back, my friend. Tomatoey. An entire can of red kidney beans, plus a cup of water, and a whole packet of sazon Goya with culantro and achiote. So now we put in our chopped cilantro leaves. I would say that's half a cup. A tablespoon of red wine vinegar. We have a nice wet mixture here. And we're gonna cover it and just let it simmer for 15 minutes. Which should be exactly about how much time you have left on your rice. Quite convenient. Rice looks great. See how our beans are doing. They look quite good. Let's have a little stir here. Nice. And let's try the rice. The rice is really great. It needs a little bit of seasoning, and so I'm gonna put some pepper on it, which is probably a great idea. And rather than salt, I thought it would be very Dominican to put some adobo seasoning, which is a lovely combination of oregano and turmeric and garlic powder and salt. So let's get this on a plate. And put your beans right on top.
My name is Waldo Tejada. I'm from La Vega, the Dominican Republic. I love dominicanrepublic.com. So actually, I do have another company. It's called Techie Experiences. We are a destination management company, tour operator. And what we do is that we design Dominican cultural experiences. Tours like culinary and chocolate, coffee, rum, dancing. That's what we do.
The sancocho is a crazy cultural soup with 7 meats.
For me specifically, sancocho is the perfect history book. It's been collecting all the ingredients since medieval time, from Spain to the Canary Islands. It's got some African influence in the Canary Island, and that became the puchero and the Canary Island sancocho, and from there got to the Caribbean, and it got all the roots. Sancocho was the original word for it. It was based on salted meat. Then it collected more ingredients, so it's like a history book. And really is the most Dominican thing. We are from everywhere. Our families are really mixed. And that's what sancocho is. It's a pot, it's a real pot.
Waldo, walk me through it.
Everything has to be uneven numbers. Sear your meat. Season them lightly before you sear them. The trick is a sour orange. You're gonna find them anywhere. Lower is that. You sear them as the toughest meat first, which will be your beef, your pork, and then your chicken, your birds. And then you put the water. You're gonna make a stock really fast. When you have a stock, you're gonna add the vegetables. So you got the hardest roots, which are the yuca and the plátanos, and the yams, and the malanga, yautillas. Then the last two is gonna be the pumpkin. The American pumpkin, the one for Halloween, it falls apart really fast. So I recommend that you get West Indies pumpkin. Every Dominican loves pollitos. And that, you have to be an odd number, because it is proven by me that if you do 6 or 8, they fall apart and disappear. But if you do 7,
they hold the shape.
I don't know why. So what you do is you grate them in a grater or the food processor, and then you make it into a very tight bowl, and you squeeze out the water. And you usually just hold the shapes. It looks like a bicycle handle because it has your fingers on it.
Really?
Yes, and they are the best surprise. All kids love that, and adults. Everybody love it. And you can hear when they pouring out, I want bollitos.
Because there's only 7 of them.
Of course.
So not everybody gets it.
And they'll be soft on the outside and a little hard on the inside, and so that gives you that texture. Most people tie up their cilantros and pull it out. I like it inside. I like, why not? White rice, avocados, and in my house, you peel bananas, ripe bananas, and you chop them right into it for a shock. And that's your sancocho. White rice is the perfect combination.
After Waldo explained that entire sancocho to us and made it seem very, very difficult, he did take me aside and say, it actually is not that difficult. So let's see if we can do it. 7 meats. I couldn't get all the meats exactly that were suggested to me, so I improvised a little. Bacon here for our replacement of salt-cured pork chop. I was told to use something gamey, like a guinea hen, but I couldn't find any guinea hen. So I said, what else is gamey? What can I substitute? Lamb is a gamey animal. This is a dish that's constantly evolving, just like Waldo said, so why can't we make it evolve as well? Here's a pork flank. You want to do half-pound portions of basically everything. That's 3 meats, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gorgeously marbled beef chuck. All right, here's the deal. The beef comes over here. 1 smoked pork sausage, 1 chorizo sausage. Spain is a big influence. I thought this was a good substitution. So here, lemon comes, and we're gonna marinate in our lamb and pork, unsmoked, uncured. Also lemon on the beef. All right, these guys sit in lemon for 20 minutes or so. The beef gets an additional marinade of adobo, Dominican oregano, and thyme, a little bit of salt. Some Dominican oregano on the beef to marinate. Some cilantro. So we got the beef marinating in lemon and the oregano thyme mixture with salt and cilantro. We have the lamb and the pork, gamey and pork, just marinating in lemon. And then we have our smoked sausages, and these are just gonna hang out here while we prep our vegetables, of which there are many. Cassava or yuca root, getting a flat edge so that we can cut off the sides. So here's a yam. We're using acorn squash here, and we're gonna keep the skin on. But we want some sort of a squash that is going to hold its shape. And zucchini's in the squash family. You would never use that for this. That's not gonna hold itself together. But this will. I mean, see how much force I have to use just to cut through it. Acorn squash. Here's a potato. That was easy. I'm gonna leave these right here since they're so soft. And let's cut open one plantain to put in as discs, and the other ones we'll do the bicycle handle with. Although a plantain looks like a banana, it is not nearly as easy to peel. What you need to do is use a peeler, potato peeler. The first thing that's going in is our beef. The oregano and the thyme come flying up. It smells really, really great. It's very important to get a good sear because you're building the flavor right now and you want those caramelized flavors. After the beef has some color, I'm gonna come in to 3 non-smoked, non-cured meats. So we'll have a total of 4 in here. I'm on full heat. Now we can add 3 allspice berries. 1, 2, 3. 13 black peppercorns. Now, if this were drying out, add water, not oil. This is a soup, not a grease pot. All right, now we're gonna grate a plantain. And this is how you make the bicycle handles. We're gonna make 3. If it starts burning, add some water. And you can scrape that right off. Wow, amazing smell. So now that we've lowered the temperature of the pan, we're no longer frying in oil until this water burns off. It's a good time to add the smoked meats. Oh, and immediately the smoke smell comes flying up. And so does the liquid. So now we have 7 meats in here. And our meats have a beautiful color. It's time to add 2 liters of water. 2 quarts of water, half gallon. I think we need more than that. Your sancocho now comes to a boil. It's time to throw in our hardest roots first. And that would be the yuca. Once it starts boiling again, you're gonna add your West Indies pumpkin or acorn squash. Now, the yam. And once that's boiling in, you throw in your corn. Now you can throw in your plátanos, your plantains, and finally, your potatoes. We're gonna cover this and let everything simmer for about 15 minutes before we add in the bicycle handles. We can skim impurities off the top just like we would for a stock. Now we can put in our odd-numbered bicycle handles. I chose to do 3. And this needs to cook for at least 4 hours, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. So our sancocho's been here for about 5 hours. Oh, and the smell is unbelievable. We have 7 meats, 5 vegetables, 13 peppercorns, 3 pieces of allspice, Spanish meat, American meat, cured meat, fresh meat. It's all been stewing in a pot together for 5 hours or so. Sancocho. The melting pot. Oh. Really sweet. I believe we have to throw an avocado on top.